guys, welcome back. Today I'm finally going to be testing out the Urban Decay All-Nighter Foundation. This foundation is crazy hyped up right now and you guys have been requesting it like crazy, so hit that thumbs up button if you're excited to finally hear my thoughts on it. It really does help me out when you guys hit that thumbs up button. But anyways, if you are new to my channel, my name is Sari. I would love it if you would hit subscribe down below. I test out foundations all the time, so you guys don't have to. I started doing these reviews because I was personally finding it really hard to find good reviews from people with acne, and I also do these videos to remind people just how common acne is and that if you are feeling insecure about your skin, you are not alone. But anyways, let's talk about this foundation. This is $49 Canadian or $40 USD, and you get the standard 1 fluid ounce of product. The packaging is of course very Urban Decay. It's like this gunmetal bottle with these really cool cutouts in it, and it does have an airtight pump, so minimizes the waste of the product. It is available in 24 different shades. I chose the shade 2.0, which is described as fair with a soft warm undertone. This foundation does oxidize, you guys. It is going to oxidize a couple shades darker, so definitely keep that in mind. If you can go check it out in person, I really strongly recommend that you do, because it is going to be a little bit difficult to find a shade. And to show you guys the oxidization, I'll insert a close-up of this here as well, but that is what the shade looks like after it's set. And I'm going to pump a little bit of fresh foundation on there just so you guys can see how drastic the difference is. So that is what the foundation looks like when it's freshly pumped out, and that is what it looks like when it dries. So very, very drastic difference there. So it is going to start off looking very light when I apply it, but from these swatches I've done on my jawline and everything, I think it's going to be a pretty good match once it does set. It is supposed to have a matte finish and full coverage, and they say it will never look overdone. It's also supposed to be oil-free and waterproof. They say that it is supposed to have 3 times the amount of pigment of their Naked Skin foundation. I'll have my review on that link down below. It's not a first impressions, but I have just like a regular review on it. And just for reference, the Naked Skin is like a medium to buildable kind of coverage. They say that you will not need to add a second layer, and 1 pump should be more than enough. So they say no building is necessary. And they're basically saying that this foundation is going to be like ultra flawless and perfect looking on your skin, and it is supposed to be very long wearing as well. So yeah, I think those are kind of the most important things you need to know about this product. I'm going to clip my hair back and we're gonna start applying it. I'm really excited. So I am going to use the Beauty Blender for one half of my face and then the Sigma F80 for the other half, and I did prime the left half of my face with the Too Faced Hangover Primer. For those of you who may be new to my channel, I am currently on Accutane. Accutane stops your oil production, so my skin is more normal to dry right now. I don't have any active breakouts on my face. This is all hyperpigmentation, and I am finding that matte foundations are a little bit drying right now. So in the case that this foundation is drying, I just thought I would try this on half of my face to see if it's a little bit more comfortable for those of you who are drier. So I did a full pump on my hand. It's about the size of a pea, and it's kind of like a medium consistency, and I'm just going to take that with my finger and dab this all over my face. Now that I'm touching it, it's actually a little bit thicker. I would say it's like a thicker liquid, and I'm just going to go in and start blending out one side with the Beauty Blender. I am like, hello coverage. I think I'm still the tiniest little bit red in here, but that applied really nicely with the Beauty Blender. Like, it went on so even, and it looks really, really flawless and smooth. So far the finish is really great. I do just, like I said, have a little bit more redness in here, but I do conceal in like a triangle kind of shape, so that'll cover that up. I'm going to go in and do the other half with the brush now. Did a really nice job with this foundation as well. I think I am slightly leaning towards the Beauty Blender. I feel like it just spread around a little bit better with the Beauty Blender. It might be partially though because this was on my face a little bit longer and might have started to dry a little bit because it is matte and it does seem to set fairly quickly. I think it looks really good with both, but I'm just leaning towards the Beauty Blender just the tiniest little bit. I think it's just ever so slightly more flawless and a little bit more smooth looking. I think it is worth mentioning that I did use the full pump of product, but I'm going to let it set for a second second now and see how much it oxidizes. I still look a little bit crazy and Casper-like right now, so I'll be right back. So it has continued to oxidize a little bit more. I would say at this point it's probably done oxidizing. It's very like set and dry at this point. And one thing that I think I need to mention is that it's not oxidizing orange. It's still staying like a nice realistic skin tone kind of shade. I think it's still the tiniest bit light at the moment, but I think once my last little inkling of a summer tan fades away, it'll be fine. Like, it'll be a good fall and winter shade for me. The one thing I am noticing is it's a little bit kind of like cakey and patchy just around here, like around my jawline. Once again though, I think that's partially my fault from dabbing it all over my entire face at once. I think this is definitely going to be a foundation you want to kind of work in smaller sections with, just because it does dry and set fairly quickly. I am also kind of sweating it off on my upper lip. I'm sweating profusely as a side effect of Accutane, and it is kind of starting to break through there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my close-up, and then I'm going to finish off my face makeup just before I start sweating too much. Okay, so honestly, I'm thinking maybe this foundation doesn't look as good on camera as it does in person. I zoomed in to do my close-up and my immediate thought was like, ooh, like that does not look that good. At least in my little viewfinder. Who knows when I upload the footage and look at it on my computer. It just didn't really look totally even, I think. In person though, I feel like it looks really nice. It's definitely gotten very matte. Almost forgot to mention I use the Too Faced Born This Way concealer and then my Cover FX illuminating setting powder. Even with this powder, it is still quite matte. And I'm sorry if my lighting sucks, you guys. It's very cloudy. It's been cloudy all week. I'm getting my actual like professional lighting set up soon and I'm so excited. With foundations that set really matte like this, I've mentioned in the past that sometimes I have issues blending out my concealer because it kind of gets like stuck in place over top of it, but I didn't have any issues with this one, so that's always a good thing. I would say I like it a little bit better on the primed side. I feel like it's just a little bit smoother. But now I'm honestly just kind of terrified that it looks awful on camera. It doesn't really feel heavy at all and it doesn't feel drying at this point, at least. It's definitely like a product you can tell that I have foundation on. It's not like super natural looking or anything, but that's what you expect most of the time from a foundation that has like a really high coverage level. But I think that's going to be it for now. I'm going to do my close-ups and I will check in with you guys throughout the day. On for just about 6 hours now, and the only thing I would say that has changed is it seems to have kind of settled and sunk into my pores and my scarring a little bit more. I'm just noticing my skin doesn't look as smooth as when I first applied it. It's pretty minor, like I don't think it'll really pick up on camera, but when I catch a glimpse of my skin in the mirror, I'm just kind of like, oh, it looks a little bit rough. And it has creased in here where I do have like smile lines, and it has sweat off my upper lip a little bit, but other than that, I still think it's looking pretty good in person. I probably just would recommend using it with a smoothing primer if you are concerned with texture. It was initially more flattering for texture, but I don't think it looks quite as good now. And so far it doesn't really feel drying or anything like that either, but I will check in with you guys again at the end of the day. I'm just doing a quick close-up here so you guys can maybe possibly see that my skin has a little bit of texture going on. And you can see it has crease in here and a little bit around my nose. I've had this foundation on for 12 hours now, and to be honest, the look of it hasn't changed all that much. The main things are that it has worn off a little bit here on my chin, and it did sweat off on my upper lip. So the first pro is that it had really beautiful, effortless coverage. It really, truly is a foundation that doesn't really need to be built like they claim. It also applied really nicely with the brush and the beauty blender. It was very transfer proof. It's also still not drying feeling on my skin at the end of the day. It's not hydrating either, but not drying. It's just kind of in between. So I think it would be okay for a wide variety of skin types, and it feels like it would hold up really well if you are very oily. Overall, I feel like it has held up really well. There is like the slightest little bit of wear, but I feel like my cheek products have stayed on really nicely, and I like went out in the rain and I've been like leaning on my face or on my hands like I always do, but it really did not wear off like along the sides of my face like foundations sometimes tend to do on me. And it also does feel pretty lightweight. It's not like an oh my god, it feels like I have nothing on my face kind of product, but it's not heavy either. The one neutral thing I have is that it's surprisingly not too matte for me, but at the same time I don't love the finish. On to the cons, it has settled into my pores and my acne scarring and my little impression lines and like around my nose and everything, and it does look a little bit cakey in some areas because of that. I definitely think it looks best from a distance. I don't really like how it looks close up, and I'm still very iffy about how it looks on camera. I feel like it's just not quite showing up the same way on camera as it looks in person, which that's not super uncommon, but usually it looks better on camera and worse in person. But I feel like in this case it's switched. And my final big con is the oxidization. This can be okay if you're aware that it's going to oxidize and you can go in store and get matched. If you want to try and order online, like if you don't live near any stores that sell Urban Decay, it's going to be tricky. And with a foundation so full coverage, I feel like it's really going to make it hard for some people to find a good match because it's going to be really apparent if it doesn't match you. So in the future, what I would do differently for applying this foundation is I would start with a pore filling primer, and then I would work in smaller sections and just kind of blend those out before going on to a different area of my face, because I did run into some issues with that. And I would probably set it with like a hydrating setting spray, like my Smashbox primer water or something, just to kind of eliminate that little bit of cakiness. Overall, I think this foundation lives up to the hype. It definitely delivers on the coverage, but there are still foundations I like better, which by the way, I will be doing an updated top 5 foundations video very soon. I am impressed, but for me at this point, this isn't at the level of must have, but I definitely see why other people are liking it. I think if you have been dying to try this foundation and you like kind of the things I have described here, then I would say go out and try it. Get a sample if you can, for sure, just to test out the shade. And I'll continue to try out this foundation. I'll try it with other products and see if I can find the perfect combination to really make it wow me. And of course, I will update on one of my first impressions updates at some point. I do that for all the foundations I test eventually. But yeah, I think that wraps things up. These are my thoughts on the Urban Decay All Nighter Foundation. As always, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Please hit the thumbs up button if you did. Like I said before, it seriously helps me out when you guys do. Don't forget to check out the description bar. I have the full list of foundations that I have reviewed down there, so check that out. I've tested out a ton of them now, so there's a good chance that it's on there. But also go follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. I'm at SariRana on all 3, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. But I'm gonna go wash my face and go to bed. I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye guys. On to my non-beauty favorites. The first one is so incredibly random. It's a kind of soup. Yeah.